Let me begin with a question most men avoid asking themselves. When was the last time you truly felt alive, not merely awake, but strong, focused, and deeply connected to your own body? For many men past 60, that feeling has quietly faded, replaced by a slower rhythm, a dull fatigue, or a sense that vitality has slipped through the cracks of everyday life. Yet this change is rarely inevitable. More often, it's the subtle result of neglecting one of the body's most natural systems of renewal. Intimate self-care, something many dismiss as unimportant or inappropriate with age, is in fact one of the most powerful biological regulators the body possesses. When it disappears completely, the loss reverberates through every system. Muscles weaken, circulation falters, hormones destabilize, and energy declines. What seems like aging is often the body's response to silence, to the absence of signals it once received with regularity. Human physiology thrives on rhythm. The heart beats, hormones pulse. Cells repair in cycles that depend on stimulation and rest. Sexual activity, partnered or solitary, is one of those natural rhythms. During arousal and climax, the body releases a precise orchestration of hormones and chemicals. Testosterone rises, growth hormone surges, dopamine and endorphins flood the brain, and nitric oxide relaxes blood vessels, improving circulation. These are not trivial sensations, they are biochemical maintenance events. They rejuvenate tissues, sharpen mental clarity, and regulate the nervous system. When these signals stop entirely, the body does not stand still, it adapts downward. Production slows, receptors become less responsive, and systems built to rely on stimulation begin to weaken from within. The first domain to show decline is often muscle. Strength is not only a product of exercise or diet, it depends on hormonal cues that tell the body to preserve and repair muscle fibers. Testosterone and growth hormone are two of the main messengers, and both are intimately tied to sexual activity. When these signals wane, protein synthesis falls, recovery lags, and muscles begin to shrink faster than age alone would dictate. Over time, the loss of muscle sets off a chain reaction. Movement decreases, balance suffers, energy expenditure drops, and metabolism slows. Many men chalk this up to just getting older, unaware that their body has lost a vital, internal trigger it once relied upon to stay strong. The same pattern applies to circulation. Every episode of intimacy, even mild arousal, acts as a cardiovascular exercise. The heart rate increases, arteries expand, and blood flow improves. Nitric oxide, a molecule essential to vascular health, rises during stimulation and keeps blood vessels flexible. Without it, vessels stiffen, blood pressure increases, and oxygen delivery declines. This loss of flexibility quietly raises the risk of fatigue, poor recovery, and eventually cardiovascular disease. In contrast, maintaining regular stimulation helps sustain healthy endothelial function, the ability of arteries to dilate in response to demand, and supports oxygen delivery to muscles and organs. It's the body's way of performing maintenance without medicine. Equally important is the effect on stress and mood. Sexual activity regulates cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone. When cortisol remains elevated for too long, it suppresses immune function, disrupts sleep, and accelerates aging. Gentle self-connection or intimacy counters this by releasing oxytocin and endorphins, which relax the nervous system and restore calm. This isn't simply emotional comfort. It's biochemical balance. In men who abstain completely, cortisol often rises unchecked, leading to shallow sleep, constant fatigue, and irritability. The decline in testosterone further compounds the issue, as low levels are associated with anxiety, apathy, and loss of confidence. Reintroducing even modest stimulation can reverse that chemistry, rebalancing the stress response and restoring emotional steadiness. Hormones function like an orchestra, each section depending on the others for harmony. Testosterone, cortisol, dopamine, and serotonin all interact in a delicate rhythm. When intimacy disappears, that rhythm falters. Testosterone levels drop, dopamine signaling weakens, and serotonin fluctuations contribute to mood instability. The result is often a diffuse emotional flatness and absence of joy or motivation that feels like depression but is in truth biochemical dullness. Re-engaging with one's own body, even through simple, private moments of care or mindfulness, reignites those hormonal pathways. Dopamine returns with a sense of purpose. Serotonin steadies the mood, and oxytocin reestablishes calm. These shifts do not require youth. They require reconnection. Energy and sleep are the next casualties of neglect. Testosterone and growth hormone both peak during the night, particularly in deep REM cycles. When stress hormones dominate or the body's natural signals fall silent, those peaks flatten. The result is restless nights and sluggish mornings. Restoring these rhythms begins not with medication but with rebalancing the body's own cues. Intimacy, deep breathing, relaxation, and mindful touch all lower cortisol before sleep, allowing restorative hormone surges to occur naturally. Within weeks, men who reintroduce these practices often notice deeper sleep, improved morning alertness, and more stable daytime energy. Even pain and inflammation respond to intimate care. The human nervous system contains its own pharmacy. Endorphins and oxytocin, powerful natural pain relievers, are released during sexual stimulation. They not only dull discomfort but also reduce inflammation. Chronic pain, joint stiffness, or tension can all ease when these chemicals circulate regularly. Without them, the nervous system becomes more reactive, amplifying pain signals that once would have been dampened. This is why older adults who remain sexually active often report less arthritis pain, better flexibility, and faster recovery from exertion. The body, when reminded of its natural chemistry, begins to soothe itself again. Confidence and self-perception form the psychological layer of this process. Physical disconnection often breeds emotional withdrawal. When men stop engaging with their bodies, their sense of identity subtly erodes. Confidence, long assumed to be mental, is deeply chemical anchored in dopamine, testosterone, and oxytocin. These molecules influence posture, eye contact, and motivation. The absence of stimulation leads not only to low energy but also to diminished self-assurance. Reconnection restores that loop. The moment a man begins to feel physically present again, his brain receives feedback that reinforces capability, relevance, and vitality. It's not vanity, it's biology, reinforcing identity. The social silence surrounding this topic amplifies the problem. Many men have been taught that discussing or attending to sexual health after a certain age is shameful or unnecessary. The result is widespread neglect. Doctors rarely raise the subject. Partners may avoid it out of discomfort. Individuals internalize the message that it no longer matters. Yet beneath that silence, biology continues to depend on stimulation. Cells, hormones, and neurons do not retire, they adapt to the signals they receive. Ignoring them deprives the body of one of its oldest and simplest feedback systems. Reframing intimacy as a form of health maintenance rather than indulgence allows men to reclaim it with respect rather than embarrassment. Restoring that balance does not require drastic measures. Gentle, consistent practices are enough to awaken the body's natural rhythm. Deep, slow breathing lowers cortisol and increases pelvic circulation. Mindful self-touch or connection, without goal or pressure, reactivates the hormonal pathways linked to testosterone and dopamine. Light movement, walking, stretching, or resistance exercise enhances these effects by supporting blood flow and amplifying the body's response. Small steps, done regularly, begin to reverse years of disconnection. The key is consistency, not intensity. Biology responds to repetition, and even subtle stimuli can reset powerful internal systems. Circulation, strength, mood, and sleep all improve together because they share common chemical foundations. As testosterone and growth hormone recover, muscle tissue rebuilds. As cortisol stabilizes, inflammation drops. As dopamine and serotonin rise, mood and motivation return. These effects compound each other, creating a positive feedback loop that sustains itself. Men who once felt perpetually tired often describe the change as a slow reawakening. You sense that the body is finally cooperating again. This is not rejuvenation through youth. It is restoration through reconnection. The implications extend beyond the individual. When men reclaim physical connection with themselves, they often become more emotionally available to others. Compassion and calm rise in parallel with oxytocin levels, improving communication, patience, and empathy. Families notice it, partners notice it, and most importantly, the men themselves feel the shift from survival to vitality. The act of caring for one's body, privately and respectfully, radiates outward as emotional steadiness and resilience. It is proof that the benefits of intimacy reach far beyond the bedroom or the mirror. They shape the quality of life itself. Neglecting intimate self-care, on the other hand, continues to exact a cost. Muscle loss accelerates, cardiovascular strain increases, hormonal decline deepens, and emotional disconnection grows. Over time, this quiet erosion becomes visible. Slumped posture, slower gait, dull eyes, and the absence of spark that once defined youth, yet none of these are irreversible. The same biology that allowed decline can, with gentle reactivation, rebuild what was lost. The body never forgets how to respond. It simply waits for a signal to do so. At its essence, this subject is not about performance, ego, or nostalgia. It is about maintenance the same way you maintain your heart, your lungs, or your diet. It's about recognizing that intimacy, in its purest form, is a vital biological process that supports the entire organism. Treating it as shameful deprives the body of one of its simplest mechanisms for repair. Embracing it with respect restores a natural rhythm that medicine can only imitate. The human body is designed to thrive on connection, movement, and care, and none of those expire with age. Reclaiming that rhythm begins with a decision. It does not require a partner or a program, only the willingness to listen to your body again. Start small, deep breathing before bed, gentle awareness of sensation, mindful appreciation for the body's responses. Over time, these small acts signal the brain to restart production of the hormones and chemicals that sustain vitality. What follows is gradual but undeniable: steadier energy, calmer sleep, improved mood, stronger presence. These changes reinforce themselves, turning simple maintenance into a foundation for strength. Every man reaches a point where he must choose how to age. The body will continue to respond to whatever signals it receives: disconnection or engagement, neglect or nourishment. Vitality does not vanish with time, it withers only when ignored. Those who restore connection discover that feeling strong, clear, and confident is not the privilege of youth but the reward of attentiveness. Biology, after all, is ageless in its capacity to respond. In the end, the conversation about intimate self-care is not about taboo, it is about truth. The truth that hormones, muscles, and emotions remain intertwined throughout life. The truth that silence invites decline, and awareness restores function. The truth that caring for this aspect of health honors the whole self. Men who embrace this understanding do not chase youth. They cultivate endurance. They stop fading and begin living fully again, guided not by shame but by science and self-respect. The path forward is neither complicated nor extreme. It is grounded in simple acts, repeated consistently: breathing deeply, reconnecting with sensation, moving regularly, resting fully. Each of these reactivates the natural intelligence of the body, the same intelligence that once fueled strength and confidence without conscious effort. What was once instinct can become intention, and intention, practiced patiently, rebuilds vitality. The reward is not only physical renewal but also a quiet sense of control, the realization that the power to age well has always been within reach. To feel alive again, to regain strength and clarity, requires only this: to stop ignoring the system designed to sustain you. Intimate self-care is not indulgence, it is responsibility. It is the act of honoring the body's design and giving it what it has always needed to function at its best. When that connection returns, the change is unmistakable, not a fleeting spark but a steady flame. It is the difference between merely surviving and truly living, no matter your age.